kind of stall there. That's those battery cables. Okay, so I'm back again. It's July in Illinois. It's muggy. It's hot. This is going to be the last video that I'm going to do for a while. Well, no, that's not true. You may see a couple videos pop up on my channel for buying a trailer for my small business, so I can start picking up motorcycles, four-wheelers, whatever I want. And then you'll probably see one more video on this bike going up for sale on eBay. But I do have to take a little bit of a break from YouTube. I've been doing this for about a year and a half, and I need to get the process of my house being sold. So I do need to, unfortunately, take a little break. I'm going to try to continue to upload videos, but the time that it takes for me to shoot videos and to edit videos and to then upload videos is too crucial for me right now. So I need to take about a month off, hopefully, and then get everything else situated so I can figure out what I'm doing. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade the battery cables today. This bike has some issues starting, and from everything that I read, I'm hoping that this will work. We're going to replace the relay and the battery cables. Now, I got the battery cables from Exact Start out of the UK, and I think he's a good option for what you want to do here, but we're going to see if they work. And if they do work, I kind of was talking to him about maybe being a supplier here in the U.S. for him. Hopefully we can work something out if they do work. If not, you know, I won't buy him. So what I want to do is just get started here, and it's really hot, and I hate to turn that fan on because that last video, that fan just made so much noise, but I think I'm going to have to. So we're going to upgrade battery cables. I'm going to walk you through. You know, that fan's making a hellacious noise. And I'm not real sure on all the panels that I'm going to have to take off. First things first is I'll go ahead and we'll want to pull the battery out of here. I just really enjoy this new lift that I got because it's so much easier to access everything up and down on these, working on these motorcycles. It's well worth the investment. So what we're going to do is we're just going to remove the battery first and get it out of the way. Get all this disconnected. If you've never disconnected a battery before, you want to be careful. Be careful not to ground everything out. There's a couple options on this bike. You can actually go, when you replace the relay and you upgrade these electrical wires, you can actually increase the battery, the cold cranking amps on the battery. I'll put the number of the battery that they recommend using if you want to upgrade that as well. Okay, so what you have here is this is your starter relay here underneath of the seat, and you'll have, on the positive side here, you'll have a wire that runs to the relay, and you'll have a wire that runs all the way back down to the starter for the positive side, and then on the negative side here you'll have this cable here. I'm not sure where that's grounded out, so I'll have to remove the fairings. However, just looking from this kit, I have got the wrong, they sent me the wrong relay, so we're just going to be replacing the cables today. And then that'll actually tell me if the relay was going bad or if it was really kind of the worn out cables. But the one thing I will say with this kit is the cable thickness and the cable quality of this kit is so much higher than the factory. These factory wires, sometimes they cut their budget a little bit on these bikes from these. So, yep, we'll get started here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull this relay out. And the rubber's really hard. I don't think this thing's ever been removed. I'm actually just going to unplug it. And then you'll lift your cover up on it. see, these wires are so old. Wow. I'm gonna have to get a screwdriver. And this is a chronic problem with these bikes. Is, I mean, when stuff gets old and dirt, wow. Wow, and that's a problem. I can actually see that's what's probably causing my problem right there. Is the wire is exposed right there and not crimped. It's actually the wire's actually loose. So I'll go ahead and get this pulled off, and then it should be a 10 millimeter, and then we'll just replace these one wire at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself and just start ripping all the wires apart, because you're going to have to chase them down. So what we have here is, I see if I can zoom in on this, is off the starter relay, the clamp that goes to the battery here is piggybacked from the top relay here. Is piggybacked to one clamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the wire to the relay, because that's the wire I got sent to replace, and I'm going to put new ends on these two positive wires that go to your fuse panel, and then they'll be on separate plug-ins here. So it's pretty simple here. It's not real major surgery on doing this. It's just they kind of do this from the factory to I'm not sure why, but more than likely to save money and to put it all together on one attachment. So what I'll do is I'll cut all this and replace it. Actually get a different pair of snips. And don't really be scared to do this. Don't be scared to do this, because if you actually watch this video, you're going to be able to do this. So we're just going to snip these connectors off like so, and then what we'll do is we'll strip these two wires here, and we'll put a new end on them, because the other wire is going to be replaced with a thicker, higher quality wire. So let's go ahead and get these wires stripped, and then I'll get new ends on them. Okay, so what he actually wants you to do in the instructions, and I'm already past that step, was he just wanted you to leave this terminal in, this flat section on there, and then put the new cable combined with this, and I didn't want to do that. So we're going to rewire with new connectors on each of these wires that go straight to the battery. So we have a good connection on both of them. Now we're going to come in and remove this first cable here that we snipped off. We're going to remove it from the relay. just like so. And I just wanted to show you the thickness and difference of these cables. And this is really going to help with starting. These bikes are notorious for having, I mean, you got a big V-twin, you need to get as much current as possible running to that starter. But what a difference. And in this kit supplied also is silicone what's called dielectric compound, and that'll keep your cables from rusting or causing any corrosive problems. And also, if you have a problem, he sent 2 thin nuts in case you have to double like what I did and layer the cables on top of the relay or onto the battery, so you have these other nuts that are thinner so you don't have any problems. So you just want to take your, well, he supplied the sandpaper. I'm assuming it's 1200 grit. And we're just going to go over the connectors and clean them. And then put the dielectric grease on them. And then reinstall them. This kit's pretty complete. There's a couple different kits out there on the market. One is from a company over in the UK that I don't do business with after they banned me from their Facebook site. So there's other options out there. You just got to look for them. And that's another reason why I've made all these YouTube videos, is to help people out and to encourage not having to go to a shop to do this minor maintenance stuff. Because you can do a lot of this stuff yourself. It's just, you know, you got to have the courage to do it. So I'm going to have to shut this cell phone off. So we'll go ahead and get dielectric grease on there and then get that reinstalled.
Just enough to make you smile, and you need me to hold.
Basically, the current will run through this grease, so it's going to protect your bare metal for a good connection, but it's not going to interfere with the electricity running through the battery. And we'll go ahead and put this cable side on. I got that grease all over my hands. Tighten this up. You don't have to go too tight on this, but it does need to be tight. And then you'll just want to work your cover back over the relay. Just like that. And now what we will do is we're going to chase down to the starter and replace the starter one off of this relay. The rubber boots on this have never been removed. I'm just going to end up destroying them is what's going to happen. Okay, now we get to chase it down to the starter. The starter will be located on the bottom right side or brake side of the motorcycle. So we're going to have to take off a couple panels. side cover here to get access to that, to the starter cable. That way we just know that we're going to run it into the proper area. There's 2 bolts on this side cover that you need to remove. Okay, and then we're just going to chase the starter cable all the way down to the starter. And on the Tuono model, you just have a little bitty side fairing. Well, on the RSV model, you've got the whole panels. And I really hope I don't have to take off that belly pan on the bottom side. But I might have to get access to the starter. And you don't need to. All you need to do is remove your one side panel and set it aside. And the starter cable runs right there. So what we have here is right here is your starter. And your cable connects right there. And we're going to unplug that, and I'm going to try to get a light in here. And we will go ahead and loosen this cable up. This should be a 10 millimeter as well, and this one here might end up being a lot dirtier than you think because of where it's located. Hard to get a good camera angle in there. And then we're just going to undo the wire to the starter. And eventually what will happen is you can wear the sprag clutch out on these bikes. That's another common problem on these bikes. Once you start to get a warm battery or battery cables aren't holding up, is you'll wear your sprag clutch out, and you really don't want to do that. So you can upgrade the battery cables and avoid that problem, save you some money down the road. Why wouldn't you? So we've got that unplugged, and then we're just going to chase this down through the frame and get this pulled out. Well, it appears that it's going to be easier to, we're going to tilt the gas tank up so it'd be easier to pull that cable off. So I'm going to lift the gas tank up just to make it easier to reroute these wires. It's easier to work smarter, not harder. On the Tuono model, it may be easier to do this because there's no fairings. Gas tank up. I had to shut the fan off because it was too loud. And that'll give us access on the other side to pull that cable out. Then I'll start pulling this cable out, and it appears that you'll be able to see on the side of the motor where it's going up at. And I'd really recommend rerunning this how it was run from the factory. So we'll just kind of pull on this and see if we get this out. I don't think I'm going to have to disconnect anything. There might be a zip tie here on the side that you've got to cut, because yeah, you'll have to cut the zip tie on the side here. You just want to pay attention how this is run. There's a lot of wires here. This is why I want to do this one wire at a time and not just start pulling all the wires out. Trust me, once you start pulling all the wires out, I've been down that road before. Oh, how's everything go back together? I don't know. I've screwed up and broke so much stuff that you really learn from your mistakes. You've got your main harness here. Tied in. I want to pull that off of the cylinder head. And then it's going to go straight down. And I'll probably be able to just pull it from the bottom. Yeah. And we'll just pull this one off. Hey, there we go. Okay, and before we go any farther here, I just want to make sure that this cable is cut to the same length. Yeah, it actually is. So we actually got a little bit more off of the new cable. So we're going to do the same thing we did to the other cable, and we're going to sand down the connectors and then put the dielectric grease on there. I don't believe that this is going to matter which way that the spades go to the starter. And what I'll do is this time I'll put the dielectric grease on as I install it onto the relay and the starter, and not put it on before I run it through the frame, so it picks up a bunch of grease. Okay, and actually what I've decided is we're going to take this larger end and I'm going to put that to the starter, and the shorter end is going to go to the relay. That way I'm going to start at the starter side. I'll start at the starter side, and this smaller end will be easier to run through the engine up to the relay. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go ahead and hook up the starter cable side, and then I'll start running the cable through the frame up to the relay. And I will tell you, some people are not a big fan of this dielectric grease. I actually am. I had a 1992 E350 box truck, 7.3 liter diesel, that I never used this dielectric grease on the cables to the starter. So what would happen is the nuts, because the vehicle sat outside and didn't have a coating over it, the cables and the nuts would wear down and rust. Well, after that happened, the son of a bitch, it wouldn't get a good connection. So after it didn't have a good connection, I had no choice but to crawl underneath of this ginormous thing every single time after it sat for 2 weeks, and get down there and take all the cables off of the starter and sand them down and put them back on to start it. I mean, it was a nightmare. Okay, so I've got that hooked back up. I've got the starter hooked back up, and now we are going to run the cable back up through, and this is going to be fun. So And you'll want to run this exactly how it was run before. And this is exactly why I propped the gas tank up. Just so you could get this little bit of leverage right here. I'll show you a picture here where it's run up. You run it right behind your main. That's your cable. What I'm going to show you here is your cable for your stator. And you're going to run it right behind the stator cable and go ahead and pull it. You know what, I'm gonna give you another tip. Go ahead when you do this, go ahead and pull this red circulator piece back on to the cover, and you'll just be able to go in and put it back on over the relay. Because otherwise it's gonna get caught on everything else. Come to the top here, we're going to run it right back behind the cylinder head where it was at. And you're going to run it up the back side to get up to the relay. Okay, then you'll just want to double check everything and make sure everything's back in place, and then we'll hook this back up to the relay. If you want to zip tie that wire that we cut off at the beginning, you can. It's not going to hurt anything if you don't do that though. So now that we've got our cables ran back, we're going to hook it back up to the relay. Oh, and we need to put the cap back on. And I'll tell you, I am really sweating. And then your dielectric grease. Now we are going to install it back to the relay. And it's so much easier just to take this relay and unplug it completely to do this. And like I said, you don't need to go real tight with this nut. You just need a good connection. There we go. And then we'll put the cover back on it. So we don't ground anything out. And we will put the... Okay, got a little bit of a problem. Oh, no, we don't. You want to kind of tuck this relay down in there. Let me show you. The relay, when you go to reinstall it, will need to kind of be tucked down underneath and then put back into its post area. So it's going to be a little bit of a tight fit, but it'll go back. Let me get my camera off here. Okay, so we got both the positive cables set up. Our new ends are crimped, ready to go. And don't forget to plug your relay back in. And then we will grab the earth, the ground, and replace the ground cable as well. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and prep the cable, the earth cable. I was wrong. This kit does not replace the original ground cable. It actually adds a secondary earth cable. And where it's going to go is it might confuse a few people because of where it is going to mount to. So wait until you see where I'm going to install this. And so we're going to install the secondary earth, and I'm a little, I really didn't think that this was going to mount like this, but they want this secondary earth, and we're going to have to lower the gas tank, this ground cable, and we are going to go ahead and put this gas tank back on. That way, you know, one step at a time. So just put the gas tank back on and be done with it. Now they want this secondary earth installed on this nut that goes onto the aluminum frame here. Now I checked this. This actually does go into a steel nut that is, the nut's steel and where it goes into is steel. But the frame for your seat is actually aluminum, so don't be scared to do this. The only thing I worry about is the clearance for this gas tank and running this cable, because it wants it to, like, they want this cable to run through the bottom of this and ground it out here. But if you do that, then you're not going to be able to lift the gas tank, and every single time you want to lift the gas tank, you are going to have to undo this cable, which actually I don't have a problem with. But I don't know if the seat will go on properly with this cable like that. I just don't like the way that they want you to run this, but I'm going to run it how they want it. So, and they want it just like that underneath of the bracket. Go ahead and tighten this back up here, but I really don't like how this is. There we go. You'll want to ground that out, and then this cable will actually, well, you could run it either way. I'd run it this way over to the cable, to the battery. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this red boot cover back on everything here. Then we'll put these two cables underneath, and then put this boot cover over and see what happens. May have to insulate these, I'm not sure. Before we go any further, we're going to put these fairings and stuff back on. That way they're just out of the way, and everything just goes back together a little smoother. What I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and clean up the original ground, and then we're ready for the battery to be put back on. Now I will tell you this much, in this little kit he had sent, it appears to be a rubber line with the kits, and what that rubber line is for is underneath of your battery, where your nut goes onto your battery. You can stick that rubber line underneath of the battery nut and get it raised up so it's easier to put the battery cable on. And I've never seen that. I actually just use cardboard, so I've always used cardboard, but that's a good idea on that, using that gas line or whatever line that is. And what you want to do right before you put this together is double check everything. Make sure your cables are okay. All your cables, your ground, your positives aren't touching anything that they shouldn't be touching, so they don't ground out. And then we'll go get the battery, and that light just went out. We'll get the battery and put the battery in. Now I've actually got some new stuff that I saw somebody use on the internet that I've never used, and it's called liquid electrical tape. And I'm going to go ahead and try to use it. Woo, it stinks. My God. And it's basically like an epoxy coating over the electrical connections that I just used. And it says to let it set for 5 minutes, so yeah, we'll give it a minute, see if it works. So we have double checked everything, and we are going to reinstall the battery. Now liquid electrical tape actually works pretty good. And we will reinstall the battery. Let's start with the grounds. I'm a little weary about how they wanted this cable ran. Install here, just kind of, there goes a hot rod. I don't know what the hell that is. That's a, I'm not sure what that is outside. Just kind of take your time when you're doing this. Don't ever get in a rush doing this stuff on these bikes. That's when stuff gets broke. And don't forget, as always, check the links below. Any Amsoil purchased in America, that purchase really helps me out. When I first started on YouTube, it was all about Amsoil. Well, I've kind of converted to just helping everybody out. got a good playlist on this bike for when this bike goes up for sale. So what we'll do is I think I'm gonna run this. Now we'll just see what I can do here. I'm gonna run these on the top. And I hope there's enough bolt to reach the okay, so I got everything tightened up and ready to go. Got a good connection everywhere. I'm going to put a little more of the electric tape on there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to test these cables out and make sure nothing shorts out. So I'll turn the key on. I haven't turned the key on. Let me grab the camera and I'll show you. Wow, I'll tell you, it's almost instant on powering the dash. Before there's slight hesitation, you can hear the fuel pump kick in right away. And let's see how it starts. When I first started the video with the intro, you heard it kind of stutter on the starter. Dude, what a difference. Oh my God. That's unbelievable. Listen to the starter. The starter, since I've owned this bike, has never cranked like that. Okay, I'm dead serious. I'm not exaggerating this one bit. I cannot believe how this cranks over with just those battery cables. It cranks so fast. The starter, you can tell, there's no hesitation in the starter whatsoever. The dash lights up faster. I hit the gas, there's automatically instant response. I've never had this bike start like that, ever. That's incredible, just from changing the battery cables. Wow. I've had major problems with this since the day I've owned it. So basically, I'm going to take it out for a test ride and make sure everything's okay. And this bike's, after I do some test riding on it, this bike is going to go on eBay, but I'm really hoping after, I can tell you right now that those are quality battery cables. Just from that little bit of just the starting, it's just unbelievable. I really hope that guy is gonna work with me on letting me distribute that in the U.S. because there are no other distributors for those cables in the U.S. So yeah, that finishes the video. The cables are from exactstart.com. I really hoping Torrentperformance can get into this. I wouldn't sell you something I don't believe in, but what a difference. Now, his main product from the Exact Start is Ducatis, and I actually do have, I've just bought another Ducati I haven't told anybody about, that I have in storage as well. So maybe I'll get some cables for those too. But I'm really hoping to start selling these cables, and that could be another way if these videos help you, that you could help support me by buying these cables through me. But yeah, got to tell you, Exact Start cables, totally worth it. I'll put the link in the description below. As always, if you buy Amsoil dealer number 5541460, they will send you a free catalog if you click the links below. Yeah, I can't wait to ride it. I'm out of here.